Harvey. Wait, so do I.
You're good. No, you're good. Like, I knew what you meant. I just had to call it out because that was funny.
That was funny.
Like, oh, okay, fine.
That was funny. If you guys are wondering what's so funny about it, check out our bonus content. It was pretty therapeutic 20 minutes there that we had.
It was. It was nice. We were kind of waxing poetic a bit, a little philosophical. But anyway.
Anywho.
These cozy months get me introspective.
It does, because it's the very merry month of December, Sarah. Do you know what that means?
Jolly good times.
No.
Hot chocolate? Christmas trees?
No and no.
Santa Claus?
Nope.
Peace on earth and goodwill to all men.
Wrong again.
Then what, Yenny?
It is the time for Mama Mariah Carey finally thaws out and sings to us all month long.
I should have figured you'd say that. And hasn't she been singing for like 3 months at this point? I mean, come on.
I don't care. December is Mama Mariah Carey month. Anywho, welcome to Story Sirens, the podcast where we deep dive into our favorite myths and legends around the world and play Mariah Carey's Christmas album on repeat. My name is Yenny.
And I'm Sarah. And today we are covering a kinda not so merry Christmas tale. It's kind of, Christmas adjacent. It's a not so merry winter tale.
Oh man, I was getting excited. I mean, could you say that maybe we're starting this month with having a blue Christmas?
I wish, folks, I know this is a podcast, so I know this is an audio medium, but the way Yenny just sort of like body rocked herself to the microphone like a crooner. Like, she is coming on to the microphone, and I'm just sitting here going, do I need to give y'all a moment?
I'm serenading my microphone.
You are. And I mean, I would say that we are starting with a blue Christmas, but I really hope that you get coal in your stocking for that joke, Yenny.
That's fine. Not all my jokes can make it. Some of them can. I'll take coal. For it. Cole Sprouse? Oh, shit.
What about Cole Sprouse? They're not even
hot.
spelled the same.
He's hot. I don't care.
I was always more of a Dylan Sprouse fan.
Either or. At this point, they are twins. Anywho, we can talk about them because they're our age. So we grew up with them. So
that is true. Okay, so without any further ado, and without any sort of preview as to what we're covering, let's just dive straight into our story.
Ooh, I like it.
Once upon a time, there was a poor old woodcutter and his wife, and they lived on the edge of the forest. They longed for a child, but a child never came. One cold winter's day, the husband went into the forest to chop wood for their evening fire, and his wife came with him to keep him company.
That's sweet.
They're a very sweet old couple. Very sweet.
I think that Jared and Alex, if they were woodcutters and we went with them to just like kill time, they'd probably be like, please leave. Because we'd just be like,
right.
Yappity yap, yap, yap.
I'm just over here to yap and talk to you about my day. And they're just going, please now.
Please, we live together. What more of your day can I know?
So, as the woodcutter worked, the wife built a snowman, roughly the size of a child. Her husband paused his work and helped her decorate the little snow child. When they had finished, before them stood a beautiful little girl made out of snow, so lovely that they called her Snegurochka, or Snow Maiden.
Aw, this is kind of giving me Jack Frost vibes, Frosty the Snowman.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
A little bit.
However, the wife again began to weep because she could not have a child of her own. And she said, if only the Lord would bring us a child so that we would not be alone in our old age.
Aww.
Then suddenly, the Snow Maiden moved. She opened her eyes, and her snowy clothing turned into beautifully embroidered clothing. Her lips and cheeks were rosy, and her eyes sparkled. The old couple stared at her in shock, and she held out her hands to them, saying, please don't be frightened. I've come to be your daughter.
That's also what demons usually say in scary movies when they possess something. And then obviously it never goes well. And with our repertoire of these stories, right? I'm feeling something here. I really hope these old people don't die. Because someone always frickin' dies in these stories. So, jeez.
We have a little concern.
Just a little.
Well, this elderly couple didn't really feel much of that shock because after, a moment of just stunned silence going, did a snow child just come to life? They ran towards her and embraced her.
It's a Christmas miracle!
Then they took her by her hands and led her to their little home. So, thus begins the tale of Snegurochka, the Snow Maiden. And this story first appears in Russian literature around the 18th or 19th centuries. So, continuing with our story, months passed and Snegurochka was everything the elderly couple had ever wished for in a daughter. She was kind, she was helpful, she was affectionate, and she was beautiful. But they noticed that she hardly ever went outside, and her mother feared that that was not healthy for her. Snegurochka was too pale after all. I wonder why. She's a snow maiden.
Maybe.
So when a carnival came to the village, the couple gave Snegurochka a little bit of money and told her to go have fun in town and meet some young people. The poor snow maiden was very uninterested, but she could not bear to disappoint her parents, so into town she went, like a true introverted people pleaser.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've had that happen to me before, because I had a period in my life where, I just would not leave the house. And this was already, in my, mid-20s, but I had just found voice acting. I was, really, just throwing myself in there. I was single. I was like, I don't need nobody. That's it.
You're like, we got nothing else going on.
Yeah, we got nothing else going on. Might as well do voice acting. And during this time, my parents were, super worried. Because I went from being this, really extroverted person to, just this introvert. But I was healing, Mommy and Dad. I was healing. But anywho,
your social butterfly was in her cocoon.
Yeah, no. But when Alex came into my life as a quote-unquote friend, because he was, my mom would, talk to him and be like, can you take Yenny out? Can, you take her out? And then, when I would be home, she'd be like, why don't you call Alex? Go out with Alex. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Are you going to pay this guy to, get me out of the house? And that's exactly what happened. Well, she didn't pay him, but she definitely was,
she's
pushing me
Here's some
out.
money, take her to a carnival.
Yeah, just take her out because she needs some, I don't know, people around her. At one point, it was just me and my cat in my parents' house, and we were living the life, okay? We were living the life.
I mean, that sounds great. Yeah. That does sound wonderful.
Did your parents ever have that problem with you?
No. But also,
oh, well, it's just me.
When I was... I mean, I was always pretty introverted. I liked staying home. But then, when I had stuff going on with friends, I mean, for the most part, it was just be home by curfew. But then, I didn't live with them again after college.
Oh, yeah.
When I did go through a time period when, I just, locked myself in the house, I do remember, calling friends and being like, if I don't get out of this house,
please
I'm going to turn into a hermit and I will never leave this house ever again. Go to the grocery store with me or something. And then we'd go to a movie afterwards and turn it into a whole day. But there was definitely that time in my early to mid 20s where I was just I
don't want to go out.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't make me. I have my dog, I have my apartment, I have my microphone.
And I got no pants. And I got
no pants. Oh, all right. So, aside from that tangent.
One of many.
So, in the town, there was a young and handsome merchant. He had come into town to trade goods, but he stayed in town after he met Kupava, the most beautiful girl in the village. She had rosy skin, deep black hair, and dark eyes. They flirted with each other and did some other things. And Kupava... And Kupava loved the attention and gifts the merchant gave her. She shared the gifts with her friends and became the merchant's lover.
Okay.
So when Snegurochka entered the center of the village, she saw Kupava and the other girls dancing. Kupava saw Snegurochka standing by herself and invited her to come dance. So Snegurochka met all of Kupava's friends and even met a handsome young shepherd boy named Lel. She was instantly smitten by Lel. Ha! And from that day forward, Snegurochka would leave her parents' home anytime Kupava or Lel called for her to join them.
It's always because of a lover, y'all. I can only hope that Kupava and Lel don't disappoint her and that nothing goes wrong. But
we can only hope.
But I'm not gonna hold my breath because Kupava giving me some feelings right now. So
yeah. So a short time passed in this pleasant state when Snegurochka had all these friends. But then the merchant returned to the village. He saw Snegurochka in the village and instantly knew he must have her.
Aquí empezó la novela. The novela has started. That's it. Viste?
Yeah.
I didn't even have to. You see?
There it is.
I even knew it. I knew it before
You were
even
right.
reading this.
You did. He approached her and offered to buy her sweets. She refused. He offered to buy her jewelry. She refused. He asked her what did she want, and she told him there was nothing that she wanted from him.
Okay, hold up. Girl's girl. She is definitely...
Right?
Snegurochka is a girl's girl. There we go.
Yes, exactly. So she returned home, and he followed her and begged her parents to allow her to marry him. The woodcutter and his wife refused.
Thank you.
The merchant was inconsolable and said he would not give up on winning the Snow Maiden's affections. Unfortunately, Kupava heard all about this, and when she next saw Snegurochka, she screamed at her and told her she was an untrue friend for stealing the man Kupava loved. She went to the Tsar, determined to see Snegurochka punished and to save Kupava's own reputation.
What? Snegurochka literally denied the merchant time and time again. What freaking reputation did you lose, Kupava? You are an insecure bitch. That's it. That's what you are. Your girlfriend literally said, nah, fam, my girl likes you. I can't be with you. And then you're blaming it on her? I know a lot of women like this. Listen, girls, never fight over a man. It is not worth it. It's not worth it. Trust me. All right. Anywho.
All right. So Snegurochka was summoned to appear before the Tsar. So she and her parents presented themselves before the Tsar in his fine palace. And the frightened girl knelt before the Tsar, her entire body trembling. The Tsar asked her, "Did you knowingly steal the affection of the merchant from your friend?" The Tsar asked. "Did you try to win him for yourself?" And Snegurochka answered,
"No, sir. I told the merchant I wanted nothing from him. My parents told him I would not marry him." And there you go, guys. That's us voice acting for you.
That's what we get paid to do.
Yeah, that's what we get paid to do, so we did it, okay?
So the Tsar nodded and believed the girl and told her and her parents to go home and not worry about the matter. But when Kupava heard that the Tsar would do nothing to force the merchant to marry her, because remember, they were already lovers and the merchant was after Snegurochka, so Kupava is just like up a creek without a paddle, she screamed and cried and tore her clothing and threw herself into the village well.
I gotta say, what the fuck is what is happening? What is happening? How does that make sense? That girl had problems already before.
Oh, she totally did.
Before this, because come on, Snegurochka literally did nothing to her. Oh my God, this is a novela for real.
It is.
I've seen these. I've actually dubbed them. We've dubbed them.
We have. Yeah, we've been like,
this is insane.
We're coming full circle. What in
the heck is happening? Why would she? I would understand if it's because like the Snegurochka was like bad to her, but this wasn't the case. It wasn't. I feel a certain way.
So, naturally, Snegurochka was inconsolable over the loss of her first and closest friend.
Babe, she was not your friend. Girl, you know what? Kupava was a manipulator. This is what that is. Because
yes.
I've had girlfriends like that. Total side note, I had to do it. I've had girlfriends in my past who manipulated me into believing that they were right and I was wrong all the time. And like, I even had one that literally liked the same guy. That's why afterwards I told myself I would never be friends with someone who likes the same type of guy that I do. Because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And this friend, she made it feel like that guy would never like me because he would only like her, and it was crazy. She was manipulative. And that is insane, dude. I feel for Snegurochka. Maybe she's, oh my God, I know what this is. Snegurochka has Stockholm Syndrome. There you go.
What? No, that doesn't quite work for this.
I don't know.
I mean,
Kinda
Kupava
does.
doesn't have her, like, captured as her prisoner or anything.
Yeah, but this is victimizing for sure. Come on, like she killed herself, and then Snegurochka feels like she's the one. She's like in you know what I mean?
I'm sure there's a proper diagnosis for this.
But it's not Stockholm?
This would not count as Stockholm. Stockholm is like when you are like captured and you're somebody's hostage, and then like you become sympathetic and like emotionally attached to your hostage. A lot of people also incorrectly attribute Stockholm syndrome to Beauty and the Beast, which is not what that is. That's a whole separate rant to me.
That's a kink. That's a fucking kink.
Well, and Snegurochka's got like some major survivor's guilt.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not Stockholm, but she was manipulated too, so there was something going on there.
There we go.
Jesus.
All right. So,
sorry,
she was
guys.
friends with a narcissist.
Oh my God.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. So, regardless of whether or not Kupava was a real friend, Snegurochka was very upset. She was inconsolable.
Eye roll.
So one day, the shepherd Lel came to see her. He begged her to come out of the house, for it had been so long since she had been out. Wanting to see him, she went outside and stood with him in the warm sunlight. Lel saw how sad she was and asked how he could help. Good Lel. Good young man.
Good boy.
So Snegurochka asked him if he would play her favorite song on his flute. Lel was more than happy to do so. As he played, Snegurochka closed her eyes and sighed happily. Her feet began to melt, then her legs, then all of her. When Lel had finished playing the song and looked at where Snegurochka had been standing, all he saw was a bit of mist rising from the ground. Yenny's dying over here. What's up, Yenny?
What song do you think he was playing?
Despacito. He was playing Despacito.
Despacito. She's like, I fucking love this man and this song.
She was going, this is my song. This is supposed to be a touching and sad story, Yenny. You're ruining my moment.
I don't know. I feel Lel could be a fuckboy too. Fuck him. Fuck him. You know, she's like, yes. Mists out into the nothing.
He's playing Dangerous and Moving by Tattoo. Keeping it Eastern European. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So after that tragic ending that we really didn't give enough solemnity to, in other versions of the story, Snegurochka goes out dancing with village girls in the woods, and when the girls light a small fire to keep them warm, they proceed to all leap over the fire as a game.
Because that's safe.
Right. Snegurochka is encouraged to do likewise, but halfway through the jump, she melts completely. As the wind carries away the mist that once was Snow Maiden, all the girls can hear is a soft whispered, goodbye. What? Why are you laughing?
Because I don't find this sad. I find this silly. It's so silly. Goodbye.
Honestly, I pictured it more like Sarah Sanderson at the end of Hocus Pocus when she's like, Winnie!
No! I love it.
And then explodes.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. I think that's the better story. Anywho, there's also an American retelling of the story of Snow Maiden or Snow White that follows this version.
I think
of the
that
story.
name is already taken.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay,
you know what?
Right.
Don't blame me. Don't shoot the messenger, okay?
All right. So this is not our classic Snow White. This is a different. All right, cool.
This
Great,
is a different one. This is a knockoff. So Snow White, not to be confused with the one who falls in love with 7 dwarves, follows
don't think that's how the story went, but that's an interesting interpretation.
Sorry, no, that's the porn version. I'm sorry.
Yeti!
I'm sorry. You landed right in. I set it up and you immediately took it. So I was like waiting it out and I saw your face. Oh, this is supposed to be a sad episode, Sarah.
This is supposed to be sad. Come on. Pull it together.
I can't. Okay, it's Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. Anywho, Snow White follows this version of the story that Sarah told, but with a small twist. Wintertime comes and goes, and as spring comes, Snow White, aka Snegurochka, begins to stay inside all day. A bunch of the village girls came by to ask her if she wanted to play in the woods.
This sounds familiar.
Which gives me Mean Girls, get in the car, bitch. We're going shopping.
We're going shopping.
And at her mother's persistence, she obliges. The girls danced and sang, and then as the sun set, they created a bonfire. Out of breath from dancing, one girl asks, "Oh my God, where's Snow White?" And then they start looking for her. They can't find her. So soon enough, they're like, well, shit, gotta go back to the parents. They go to the parents' house.
We lost your kid.
Yeah, we lost your kid. They let them know that she disappeared, and the whole village actually tries to search for her, but they can't find her.
Aww.
Well, they never will find her because Snow White began to melt and turned into mist that flew up into the sky, where she then transformed into a pretty little, definitely dead snowflake. The end.
Oh. And in yet another version of the tale, Snegurochka isn't born to an elderly couple hoping for a child. She is the daughter of Father Frost and Spring Beauty. In that tale, Snegurochka's heart is made of ice, and her parents encourage her to make friends. She falls in love with a human boy, and the warmth of his love melts her heart.
I mean, and her body too, or does she live?
No, I think it melts all of her.
Oh my God. Jesus, girl.
So, a little history about Snegurochka and her role in Russian traditions now. So, after the Russian Revolution, Christmas was banned by the Soviet regime. However, New Year's celebrations were still allowed. So, the classic Slavic character Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost, would often make appearances accompanied by his granddaughter, Snegurochka, to deliver presents under the New Year's tree. Today, Snegurochka appears in Christmas and New Year's festivities and helps Father Christmas / Grandfather Frost deliver gifts to children and warns children to keep an eye out for Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga again makes its presence known. We gotta do her soon.
We definitely do. We need to cover her story. So,
yes.
But anyway, how's that for a heartwarming tale? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You could say that it had me melting.
Well, you know, some people are worth melting for.
Aww.
Call me Olaf.
All right. Well, there's one more story of a snow maiden we'll cover today, and that is of Yuki-Onna.
Ooh, yes.
There are many different tales of the Yuki-Onna, or Snow Woman, and while the ways she captures her victims may differ, she is definitely not a nice lady to encounter in winter. She also is one of the most well-known yokai, or supernatural beings, in Japan, with every prefecture having their own version of the tale.
Oh, that's so cool. And I mean, that does make sense that she's the most famous because I know Yuki-Onna was one of the first mythical Japanese beings I had ever learned about. My dad bought me this book called Mysterious Tales of Japan by Rafe Martin, and he read it to me, and I remember being so excited because, you know, I was a little kid at the time, but I was like, oh, he got me a book of, like, ghost stories. I'm old enough for ghost stories. And I just thought it was so cool. But I vividly remember the painting of Yuki-Onna in the book because she was just absolutely gorgeous.
I think it's so cool that you got read to. My mom, I would be like, Mom, read me a bedtime story. And she'd be like, vete a dormir ya, okay? Go to bed.
No, that was kind of like my dad and I's like quality time. He read to me every evening when I was a kid. So.
Aww. I should have been there too. You didn't invite me.
Madam? You want me to cross through dimensions and be like, hey, so you don't know me. This, like, suddenly in your living room, this pudgy little white girl with, like, long hair, and it was back when I still had, like, my super heavy accent, and I'd be like, hi, do you want to come over and we can read and we can, like, play sleepovers and mermaids?
I would have said yes.
Oh, absolutely, you would have. I was irresistible. I was adorable.
All right, irresistible Sarah. Yuki-Onna is said to be as pale as snow, wearing a white kimono, and has long jet black hair and piercing eyes. Oh my god, this is Kupava.
It is Kupava. She, like, dove into the well, and she, like, emerged in Japan.
Holy shit. We figured out Yuki-Onna, y'all.
We found Kupava.
It's fucking Kupava, that bitch. And it makes sense. All right, she's all... That wasn't even scripted.
That was great. That was great.
She also has been said to appear as an old hag, but we'll let her be lethal and drop-dead gorgeous in this podcast.
Oh, yes, please, dear.
She is said to appear in time for the new year and will linger until February. But in other tales, she is said to only appear under a night with a full moon, and yet other tales, she is said to only appear during snowstorms.
Listen. She's a busy woman, so of course we don't get to know the exact details of her schedule.
Yeah, and you'll see us be bouncing with different stories because, as we said before, there is just so many different varieties, just like Snegurochka's tale. So, the most notable tale of Yuki-Onna comes from the Greek author Lafcadio Hearn, who wrote the book Kwaidan, Stories and Studies of Strange Things in 1905, which we're actually going to link the book in our summary, as well as Sarah's book that she spoke of, which is, what is it again, Sarah?
Mysterious Tales of Japan by Rafe Martin.
Yes. Before jumping into the passage regarding Yuki-Onna, I would highly recommend learning a bit about Lafcadio's life, later known as Koizumi Yakumo, as he was recognized as one of the first writers to educate the West about Japan, specifically the Meiji era, which is from 1868 to 1912. I will say That's he has cool. Like a really crazy story. His life is pretty cool to learn about.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, I sat there and read about it. I was like, man, this is cool.
I know what I'm doing after this.
Yeah, very, very cool story. So, hearing the story from a local, Hearn's Yuki-Onna story revolves around that of two woodcutters.
More woodcutters?
Yeah, This is where, again, the tales, even though they're in different parts of the world, they all sort of mesh together at some point. Yeah, this is
and
really
the fact
cool.
that, like, yes, Snow Maiden, yes, winter, but, like, they both appear at New Year's. And so, okay. All right, cool.
So a father and a son, woodcutters, take shelter in an abandoned cabin during a snowstorm. During the night, the son awakes to banging from the outside, and upon opening the cabin doors, lets in the Yuki-Onna.
Oh, no.
Immediately, she sweeps over his father and takes his life essence, aka soul. As she went to take the son's, she stopped. And she was like, holy shit, this guy's hot. He was so beautiful. And because he was so hot, sometimes it pays to be hot.
Pretty
she allows him to live. Yeah, pretty privilege. She allows him to live on the condition that he'd never speak of what happened in the cabin.
Okay, I want to see this man. Like, how pretty are we talking here? I've seen some really beautiful illustrations of Yuki-Onna, but like, hello? Woodcutter boy.
The guy.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, let's go. So how many woodcuts can he woodcut before the woodcutter cuts? I don't know. I tried. It was setting up in my head and then I couldn't finish it. All right, so anywho. A year passes and winter came again. The son was casually resting by his doorframe, as anybody else does.
Yeah,
of
course,
that makes
naturally.
Sense. When a beautiful woman appeared. The son offered her refuge as it was becoming dark and snowing.
Ooh.
And the beautiful woman never left his home afterwards, since they quickly fell in love, got married, and even had kids. Oh yeah,
Scandalous.
dang girl, you moved quickly.
In some versions of the tale, when he asks for her name, she says that her name is Yuki, which I just want to say, like, that didn't set off any alarms in your head, young man.
Listen, pretty privileged, dog. That's where it's at. One night, while the children were playing, the man was gazing at his wife, who was smiling at him. And suddenly, he remembered that night so many years ago, about the snow spirit that visited him. and wondering if it was all just a dream, which also kind of fucked up that you think the death of your dad is just a dream.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, are you sitting there going, like, oh, I made this all up to cope with my father's death?
Yeah.
Or, like, no.
No. Anywho, he mentions this to his wife.
Uh-oh.
His wife's smile faded, and she revealed herself to be that same spirit, the Yuki-Onna, who met him many years ago. She told him that she would not kill him for the children's sake, but vanishes from sight and leaves the husband, which I guess now is a widow, alone and filled with regret.
This is why we can't have nice relationships. Someone always has to come along and reveal our true magical nature. I mean, come on.
Go.
We swore you to secrecy for a reason.
You had one job.
You had one job. In some versions of the story, she screams her rage at him and tells him that if she ever hears that he has mistreated their children, she will return and make sure to kill him. Then she turns into a howling wind and races out of the window.
I mean, she's still a good mom, you know what I mean?
Right? Just like, listen, you broke the spell. I can't be married to you anymore, but if you don't treat our kids right, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Good. You know what? Hashtag good for her. There you go. We always have to bring it out.
We do.
All right. As I mentioned earlier, there are many other versions of the Snow Woman. The oldest account of Yuki-Onna coming from the Muromachi/Ashikaga era, around the 1300 to 1500s, where a monk named Sogi saw a beautiful yet strange woman standing out in his frozen garden.
Hold on, pause. Can we pause? I would love it if somebody looked at one of us and went, what a beautiful yet strange woman.
I think that's what Alex and Jared say every single time they fucking see us in the morning.
I think you're right.
As we're like sipping coffee and going,
right? Like my hair's like full dandelion mode and we're both just like, no, don't look at me. Don't talk to me. I'm in my blanket fort.
The other day I was like snoring super loud and Alex is like, bro, you have a V6 motor as a fucking nose. I'm like, and you still tap it every damn night, you know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I have a deviated septum. Leave me alone.
Oh my gosh.
That's true love right there. Anywho, she was depicted by the monk to be extraordinarily tall, around 10 feet.
Oh my gosh.
And had long white hair and a white kimono on. When he tried to speak to her, she did not answer, but instead vanished into the snow. Another tale describes the Yuki-Onna as a vampire who lives in the forest and sucks the life essence, aka souls, of humans. In the Niigata prefecture, stories lean into her enjoying the souls of children the most.
And we're back to eating children.
It's always got to be the kids, man. Hide your kids, hide your wife. Other prefectures tell tales of Yuki-Onna coming out on dark and snowy nights, calling out for people nearby to talk to her. If the victim does indeed strike up a conversation with her, that's when she attacks. This is also a great way to teach your kids not to talk to strangers, if you ask me.
And if you ask me, this is a great way for a lot of Southerners to die. We love talking to strangers.
Oh my God, it's true. I like talking to strangers too.
Right? Just like, hey, how you doing? Oh, that's a nice shirt. You know, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So in some legends, any person who dies in the snow will become a snow spirit. There is a legend of a woman who visited an old farmer and asked for shelter from the snowstorm outside. Very common theme. The old farmer was very nervous about letting her in because he knew how dangerous winter spirits could be, and he did not believe this was any normal mortal woman.
Okay, we got a smart guy.
He was very smart.
One.
But after much thought, he let her into his home.
JK, he's stupid.
Well, he let her into his home, and she prayed at his family altar and even said a prayer of thanks for the farmer's generosity. She told the farmer that she would not harm him, for indeed she was no mere mortal woman. But that the snow was too strong for her to continue on her own journey, so she needed a place to stop. She was on her way to see her husband, who after her death had left their home and her parents. The parents of the dead woman were very old, and she was worried for them, and she wanted her husband to do the right thing by them. The old farmer agreed with her worries, but then he fell asleep.
Oh, well, he didn't think too much of it.
He didn't. The next morning, he saw that the woman was gone, and he went into town in search of the woman's husband. When he finally found him, he saw that the man had already returned to his in-laws and was taking good care of them. The woman's spirit had found him the same night as the old farmer, and since both men had listened to her and done the right thing, offering shelter and taking care of elder relatives, they never saw her again.
Huh.
So, just like, hey, I'm showing up here, do the right thing, let me rest in peace.
I mean, I'm just going to say this story is kind of bland compared to like dying of mist, dying by getting your life essence sucked. This one's kind of like, this is a vanilla tale.
It's a little simple. It's a little simple. So, many scholars link Yuki-Onna's beauty to the beauty of nature in winter, as Japan's artists and poets and writers often focus on winter as a preferred subject. However, as spring is never promised to anyone, she is a symbol of death and danger, constantly waiting in the beauty of nature.
And on a lighter note, let's look at Snow Maidens in modern media. I mean, do we even have to say, y'all better know that we're going to talk about Frozen, the two sisters, and Elsa with all her amazing freaking Idina Menzel, or as John Travolta likes to say, Adele
Dazeem.
She's amazing. She's a great singer in Broadway and in life.
Wicked. She's wonderful. And then there's a Russian animated film from the 1950s called The Snow Maiden with music by Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. Remember him from Sinbad? The animation is beautiful. Rimsky-Korsakov also composed an opera called The Snow Maiden, inspired by the 1873 play by Alexander Ostrovsky.
And remember the book by Hearn? Well, 1964's Kwaidan is a horror film based on his book.
Ooh.
It tells 4 stories, all unrelated, one which includes the Yuki-Onna. It's actually available on HBO Max, Prime, and YouTube subscriptions.
Cool. So I would say our siren call this week is to check out any of the modern media options we've just listed, and be careful out in the cold, please, if you live in an area that has cold. And if somebody starts calling out from the darkness in the middle of the night, don't answer it. And also, I know I'm adding a lot of things here, but also maybe don't jump over fires and invite your friends to jump over fires, because then you might lose a friend. You might. They might just whisper to you, goodbye.
So, and with that being said, we will go into mist. Goodbye. Thanks for listening to Story Sirens. You can follow us on Instagram at Story Sirens Podcast. Want to support us? Send us a cup of Ko-fi by searching ko-fi.com/storysirens. We've got lots of treats for those who become siren seekers. All research materials can be found in the episode summary. Music by Donald Guzzi and artwork by Alexis Torres. Story Sirens is a Feather and Fin production. See you soon.